Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirke Nashtaprayeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 12, the Mohini Murti Incarnation bewilders Lord Shiva. Text number 22 onwards. So as Lord Shiva prayed to Lord Vishnu, and he wanted to see that beautiful feminine form of the Lord. And Lord Vishnu said, okay, but you're responsible for whatever happens afterwards. I'm not responsible. So Lord Vishnu appeared as a beautiful woman playing with the ball, and Lord Shiva got captivated. So discussing further. Tam Vikshit Dev iti Kandu Kalileye Shad Vrida Sfut Smith Visrishta Kataksha Mushtaha Stri Prekshana Prati Samikshana Vihvalatma Natmanam Antik Umam Saganashcha Veda. While Lord Shiva observed the beautiful woman playing with the ball, she sometimes glanced at him and slightly smiled in bashfulness. As he looked at the beautiful woman and she watched him, he forgot himself and Uma, his most beautiful wife, as well as his associates nearby. The material bondage of this world is that a beautiful woman can captivate a handsome man, and that a handsome man can captivate a beautiful woman. Such are the affairs that began when Lord Shiva observed the beautiful girl playing with the ball. In such activities, the influence of Cupid is very prominent. As both parties move their eyebrows and glance at one another, the lusty desires increases more and more. Such reciprocations of lusty desire took place between Lord Shiva and the beautiful woman. Even though Uma and Lord Shiva's associates were by Lord Shiva's side. Such is the attraction between man and woman in the material world. Lord Shiva was supposed to be above all this attraction, but he was victimized by the captivating power of Lord Vishnu. So that was a Yog Maya working on Lord Shiva. Rishabdev thus explains the nature of lusty attraction. Unsa striya mithuni bhavam etam tayor mitho hirde granthim ahu. The attraction between male and female is a basic principle of material existence. On the basis of this misconception, which ties together the hearts of the male and female, one becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusions and things in terms of I and mine. When a man and woman exchange feelings of lust, both of them are victimized, and thus they are bound to this material world in various ways. So that's how our material entanglement starts, and it just keeps going. And it's male and female, not just human beings, everywhere, whether it is birds, animals, everywhere. They just look at each other, and that's it. They get attracted, and then this whole system of body, home, property, children, relatives, wealth, it just goes on and on and on and on. Tasya karagrat satu kanduko yata gato viduram tam anuvrajat sriyaha vasa sasutram laghu marato aharat bhavasya devasya kilanu pashyataha. When the ball leaped from her hand and fell at a distance, the women began to follow it. But as Lord Shiva observed these activities, a breeze suddenly blew away the fine dress and belt that covered her. See Lord Vishnu's Maya, how it works. And this is the Yog Maya that is working on Lord Shiva. Even the breeze cannot flow without the consent of Lord Vishnu. But at that time, he had to captivate Lord Shiva. Evam tam ruchi pangi darshaniyam manoramam drishtva tasyam manaschakre vishadjantyam bhava kil. Thus Lord Shiva saw the woman, every part of his body was beautifully formed, and the beautiful woman also looked at him. Therefore, thinking that she was attracted to him, Lord Shiva became very much attracted to her. Lord Shiva was observing every part of the woman's body, and she was also glancing at him with restless eyes. Thus Shiva thought that she was also attracted to him, and now he wanted to touch her. Taya prat vigyanas tattakrit smar vivalaha bhavanya api pashyantya gat his tat padam yayo. Lord Shiva, his good sense taken away by the woman because of lusty desires to enjoy with her, became so mad for her that even in the presence of Bhavani, he did not hesitate to approach her. Satamayantam alokya vivatsra vridita brisham niliyamana vriksheshu hasanti nanvatishtita. The beautiful woman was already naked, and when she saw Lord Shiva coming toward her, she became extremely bashful. Thus she kept smiling, but she hid herself among the trees and did not stand in one place. Tamanva gachat bhagavan bhava prabhushitendriya kamasya cha vasham nitaha karenum iv yuthapaha. His senses being agitated, Lord Shiva, victimized by lusty desires, began to follow her, just as a lusty elephant follows a she-elephant. So anuvrajyati vegena grihitva nichatim striyam keshabandhu paniya bahubhyam parishasvaje. After following her with great speed, Lord Shiva caught her by the braid of her hair and dragged her near him. Although she was unwilling, he embraced her with his arms. So somebody reading Srimad Bhagavatam, he would be thinking, why Shukdev Goswami has to go in so much of detail for all this? It doesn't make sense. First of all, it's Lord Shiva, not an ordinary person. It's not some sexual movie going on. It's Lord Shiva himself. And this is Lord Vishnu in the feminine form. And Lord Vishnu's Yoga Maya is working on Lord Shiva. Not an ordinary Maya, not Mahamaya. But at the same time, we have to understand, we get captivated by not even the full Mahamaya. We will get captivated just by one spark of Mahamaya's effulgence. But this is what we have to understand. We have to be very, very careful, especially when it comes to opposite sex. If this can happen to Lord Shiva, of course it is Yoga Maya, but it can happen to anybody. Anybody. Sopaguda Bhagavata Karina Karini Yatha Itastataha Prasarvanti Viprakirna Shiroruha Atmanam Mochitvanga Surashabha Bhujantara Pradrivatsa Prithu Maya Deva Vinirmita. Being embraced by Lord Shiva like a female elephant embraced by a male, the woman whose hair was scattered swirled like a snake. O king, this woman who had large high hips was a woman of Yoga Maya presented by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She released herself somehow or other from the fond embrace of Lord Shiva's arms and ran away. Tasyaso padvim rudro vishnoradbhuta karmana pratipadyat kamena varineva vinirjita. As if harassed by an enemy in the form of lusty desires, Lord Shiva followed the path of Lord Vishnu, who acts very wonderfully and who had taken the form of Mohini. Lord Shiva cannot be victimized by Maya. Because, first of all, Maya, who is Maya? Maya is his wife, Durga, Bhavani, Sati, Parvati. They're different names. So he cannot be victimized by Maya. Therefore, it is to be understood that Lord Shiva was being harassed by Lord Vishnu's internal potency. Lord Vishnu can perform many wonderful activities through his various potencies. Parasya Shakti Vividheva Shruyate. The Supreme Lord has various potencies by which he can act very efficiently. To do anything expertly, he doesn't even need to contemplate. Since Lord Shiva was being harassed by the women, it is to be understood that this was being done not by a woman, but by Lord Vishnu himself. Tasyanudhavato retascha skanda mungharetasah shushmino yut pasyeva vasitam anudhavata. Just as a maddened bull elephant follows a female elephant who is able to conceive pregnancy, Lord Shiva followed the beautiful women and discharged semen, even though his discharge of semen never goes in vain. Yatra yatra patanmayam retastasya mahatmana tani rupyasya hemascha hemrascha kshetranya sanmahipate. O king, wheresoever on the surface of the globe fell the semen of the great personality of Lord Shiva, mines of gold and silver later appeared. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that those who see gold and silver can worship Lord Shiva for material opulences. Lord Shiva lives under a bale tree and does not even construct a house in which to dwell. But although he is apparently poverty-stricken, his devotees are sometimes opulently endowed with large quantities of silver and gold. Parikshit Maharaj later asks about this, and Shukdev Goswami replies. So this is a potency of Lord Shiva. So mines of gold and silver later appeared wherever the semen of Lord Shiva fell. So people generally worship Lord Shiva for all these material opulences only. And he is Ashutosh. He gets pleased very quickly. And he just gives all these material opulences. But this is not what a devotee desires. He knows more material opulence means more entanglement in this material world. We might think, oh, it's so nice to live opulently. We can give some donation to the temple and for the propagation of Sankirtan movement. And we can live very comfortably. We can do some food for life and sponsor some books or whatever. But that's not the whole purpose of performing bhakti. Bhakti means we have to develop love for Krishna, not love for money. All these activities, although they are devotional service, but if done with the right consciousness, if done with materialistic consciousness, they become only pious activities. And that's not what we want. We want pure devotional service. And moreover, if Krishna wants to give us some benedictions, that's up to him. But we don't ask. Sarit Sarhasu Shaleshu Vaneshu Pavaneshu Cha Yatra Kvachas Sanrishyas Tatra Sannihito Haraha. Following Mohini, Lord Shiva went everywhere, near the shores of the rivers and lakes, near the mountains, near the forests, near the gardens, and wherever there lived great sages. So Mohini or Vishnu dragged him so many places, and where the great sages were living. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks that Mohini Murti dragged Lord Shiva to so many places, especially to where the great sages lived, to instruct the sages that their Lord Shiva had become mad for a beautiful woman. Thus, although they were all great sages and saintly persons, they should not think themselves free, but should remain extremely cautious about beautiful women. No one should think himself liberated in the presence of a beautiful woman. The Shastras enjoin Matra Susra Dvitrava. One should not stay in a solitary place with a woman, even if she be his mother, sister, or daughter. For the senses are so uncontrollably powerful that in the presence of a woman, one may become agitated, even if he is very learned and advanced. And it has happened, not just with Lord Shiva. There's so many examples. So just one got to be careful, very, very careful. That's all the Shastras are saying. And to make progress spiritually, one has to abstain from these kind of interactions. And another issue or concern we can say is when we are trying to make progress, when we are trying like us, people like us who are struggling, then these material desires, especially the sexual desires, they spring forth. They just come from the core of our hearts. Actually, they are just lying there, and they come out. They really come out and disturb the struggling devotee. So one got to be very, very careful and take shelter of the holy name. That's the only way possible. There's no other way. Skanne retsi swapashyadatmanam deva mayaya jadikritam niripashreshtha sanya vartat kashmalam. O Maharaj Parikshit, best of kings, when Lord Shiva had fully discharged semen, he could see now he himself had been victimized by the illusion created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus he restrained himself from any further maya. Once one is agitated by lusty desires upon seeing a woman, those desires increase more and more. But when semen is discharged in the acts of sex, the lusty desires diminish. The same principle acted upon Lord Shiva. He was allured by the beautiful woman Mohini Murti. But when his semen had been fully discharged, he came to his senses and realized how he had been victimized as soon as he saw the women in the forest. If one is trained to protect his semen by observing celibacy, naturally he is not attracted by the beauty of a woman. If one can remain a brahmachari, he saves himself so much trouble in material existence. Material existence means enjoying the pleasure of sexual intercourse. If one is educated about sex life and is trained to protect his semen, he is saved from the danger of material existence. So somehow Lord Vishnu made Lord Shiva an example to give us these teachings. And also, if I'm not wrong, I'm not sure if it is mentioned here, I doubt it. It is at this time, because of the semen that dropped of Lord Shiva, Kartikeya was born. If I'm not wrong, I think I've read it somewhere. अथावगत महात्म्य आत्मनो जगदात्मनः अपरिज्ञे वीर्यस्य न मेने तदुहाद्भुतम्. Thus Lord Shiva could understand his position and that of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has unlimited potencies. Having reached this understanding, he was not at all surprised by the wonderful way Lord Vishnu had acted upon him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as all-powerful because no one can excel him in any activity. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Matta paratram nanyat kinchid asti dhananjaya. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. No one can equal the Lord or be greater than him, for he is the master of everyone. As stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ekala Ishvara Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the only master of everyone, including even Lord Shiva. What to speak of others? Lord Shiva was already aware of the supreme power of Lord Vishnu, but when he was actually put into bewilderment, he felt proud to have such an exalted master. So why he was feeling proud? He should have been ashamed. But no, he was proud because of having such a master, Lord Vishnu, who can, and only Lord Vishnu could bewilder him. And also, Lord Shiva was happy, we'll read later, that it was Yogamaya that bewildered him, not Mahamaya. Tam aviklavam vridam alakshya madhusudana uvacha param prito vibhrat swam porushim tanum. Seeing Lord Shiva unagitated and unashamed, Lord Vishnu Madhusudan was very pleased. Thus he resumed his original form and spoke as follows. Although Lord Shiva was aghast at the potency of Lord Vishnu, he did not feel ashamed. Rather, he was proud to be defeated by Lord Vishnu. He was proud that I was defeated by Lord Vishnu and nobody else. Nothing is hidden from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for he is in everyone's heart. Indeed, the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sanivishnu. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance for knowledge and forgetfulness. Whatever happened had taken place under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore there was no cause to be sorry or ashamed. So everything happened by because it was orchestrated by Lord Vishnu in this way. Although Lord Shiva is never defeated by anyone, when defeated by Lord Vishnu, he felt proud that he had such an exalted and powerful master. That's a special relationship. Shri Bhagwan Vacha, Dishtyattvam Vibhuddha Shrestha Swam Nishtham Atmana Sthita Yanme Stri Rupeya Swaram Mohito Apyendu Mayaya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O best of the demigods, although you have been amply harassed because of my potency in assuming the form of a woman, you are established in your position. Therefore, may all good fortune be upon you. Since Lord Shiva is the best of the demigods, he is the best of all devotees. His exemplary character was therefore praised by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who gave his benediction by saying, may all good fortune be upon you. When a devotee becomes little proud, the Supreme Lord sometimes exhibits his supreme power to dissipate the devotee's misunderstanding. After being amply harassed by Lord Vishnu's potency, Lord Shiva resumed his normal, unagitated condition. This is the position of a devotee. A devotee should not be agitated under any circumstances, even in the worst reverses. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Yasmin Sito na Dukkhen. Because of his full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a devotee is never agitated, even in the greatest trials. This pridelessness is possible only for the first-class devotees, of whom Lord Shambhu is one. So Lord Shiva was proud, he was happy, he was defeated by Lord Vishnu only, nobody else. And he was proud of the potency of Lord Vishnu, that my master is so powerful, he could bewilder me. And he had no pride. So that's what pleases the Lord. And the Lord says, may all good fortune be upon you. Konu me ati taren mayam vishaktas tvadrite puman tanstan visrajatim bhavan adus bhavan dustaram kritatma bhi. My dear Lord Shambhu, who within this material world but you can surpass my illusory energy. People are generally attached to sense enjoyment and conquered by its influence. Indeed, the influence of material nature is very difficult for them to surmount. Of the three chief demigods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, all but Vishnu are under the influence of Maya. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, they are described as Mai, which means under Maya's influence. But even though Lord Shiva associates with Maya, he is not influenced. The living entities are affected by Maya, but although Lord Shiva apparently associates with Maya, he is not affected. In other words, all living entities within this material world, all living entities, including Lord Brahma, except for Lord Shiva, are swayed by Maya. Lord Shiva is therefore neither Vishnu Tattva nor Jiva Tattva. He is between the two. He has his own Shiva Tattva. So this is the power and potency of Lord's material energy, Maya, or spiritual energy also. Very, very powerful. Similarly, many devotees want to see this Maya. Narad Muni once wanted to see Lord's illusory energy. And he just got so illusioned. But then Lord Vishnu stopped it. I'll send that story on the group. Sometimes just devotees have different desires. Lord fulfills their desires. Of course, we who are always in Maya, we don't want to see his influences or games of Maya anymore. Hare Krishna, Dheeraj Prabhuji, mute yourself. So we don't want to see his games of Maya. We just want to get out of here. But sometimes devotees have such desires. So Krishna fulfills their desires. So we'll stop here.
Why should I put in energy?
And see anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, one question that I use on when you say receive in the purpose, right? Lord Shiva is neither Tattva nor Jiva Tattva. And he's not under the control of Maya or Yoga Maya, something like that. So then why he dragged towards that? He was just going all the way to behind Mohini, all the shores, all the lakes, and there is something, right, because of which he was attracted and he was just going around, he just forgot about Uma also, like he said, Bhavani also. He forgot about it. And then he got dragged because of that look, because of that attraction. So some way he was attracted. When we say he was attracted to Mohini, then that means he is under the control of Maya. Now here it comes the confusion that if he is not under the control of Maya, then why?
He was under the control of Yoga Maya. That
okay.
Shukdev Goswami has clarified it. Not Mahamaya, not material energy, but it was the internal potency of the Lord.
So, Prabhuji, Mahamaya and Yoga, what is the difference?
Yoga Maya is Yoga Maya, one which connects us with the Lord. Yoga means to connect us. So that is spiritual energy. And Mahamaya is material energy.
Material, under which we all are.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So huge difference, big difference. Okay, so I guess we can stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna.
Hare Krishna.